Hey guys, just had a meeting with a bunch of colleagues from various states around the country, and they all are practitioners of Social Security disability. So we get together generally monthly. It's a Zoom roundtable, we call it. And I met them all on LinkedIn, and is there annoying me? We talk about different issues that come up, if we want to get someone else's opinion on something, that kind of thing. It's a really great share group. It's very small, close knit. It was always at a certain time, and whether you can make it or not, you make it or you don't make it. So we were talking about funny things that can come up and that can hurt a case, and whether, to what extent we, tell our clients to be careful about XYZ so they don't hurt their own case. Now, you've probably seen videos on the dangers of social media. For claimants, largely because we often put things up there that put us in our happiest, most fit light, right? And that can come back and bite you. Well, someone gave an example of a person who enjoyed fishing. And gosh, I know so many people and so many claimants that enjoy fishing. And I think in this case, they must have posted something about fishing for hours and hours, long afternoon fishing, that kind of thing. Which the implication then is potentially that the person could do a sedentary job sitting down for hours and hours. So I think you got to be really careful about posts, even things like that. Now, I have clients who fish, and if they do, we make it clear. I mean, it sounds funny, right? We're just picking fishing out of a million and one things, but that's because it's a really popular pastime. And I think for some people, it's very therapeutic too. I mean, you have to be sitting or lying down if you have physical problems a lot of the time. And some people can actually stand and fish. So it really depends on your problem. And assuming it's not, a long day and you do it briefly, as long as that's clear. But I think a lot of times it's not clear. So the implication is they're fishing all afternoon. And so in this particular instance, a judge actually checked on social media. And if you make posts, and I don't know all the intricacies of how to keep things private just to your friends, but if you don't click the friend only button when you post something and it's set to public, or one of the colleagues was saying that if you tag other people in it, or you tag a friend, all of their friends can see it too. So I suppose it can then, stumble out. But the judge saw this publishing of these long fishing endeavors and said, well, then if you could sit there and watch a lake that long, or watch a pole that long, you could maybe be a video surveillance monitor, which is it's one of the physically easiest jobs to do, regardless of what your physical problems might be. So you just gotta, I personally think people shouldn't even be on social media. And if you are, you're just, you can read, maybe don't post. And if you want to say hi to somebody, privately message them maybe through, Facebook or whatever platform you're using. I don't really keep up with them all. There's a lot now, but because I think I'm going to say a sloppy moment, we might say something that is not true. Or let's say there was one day you did go for 4 hours. It was a good day. Maybe you couldn't get a ride home earlier, or your wife was there and she wanted to stay, whatever. If it's representative, if it's not clearly a one-off, it can be taken, poorly by somebody who's human, when they're making a decision. So I just gotta reiterate the real life ramifications. If you're a claimant, or if you've already won, you're still technically claiming disability benefits. and there are CDRs and there are surveils and stuff, and social media trolling by the SSA, if that's what's happening, it's just another form of surveilling. So it's not even really an invasion of privacy because you're putting it out there in public. They're not invading your privacy because it's like you were out on the street. If they were getting your password and checking your private messages, or those that were directed only to friends, I think that would be different. So, before we get all upset about it, it might not be the violation you feel like it is, because you probably feel violated, but you just have to be, careful and more exacting in what you represent. We all, I'd say most of us have our times of exaggeration, or we certainly don't put our dirty laundry out there. We only put out the best, but that means that we're not really represented accurately to the people that we're think are seeing it, but also to people that, might get a wrongful impression. And that would be unfortunate. So fishing, I will say this about fishing. When you do your function report, and that's one of your hobbies, and you'll see that, I forget what number it is, hobbies. Well, it's in there. And I have an actual video on the section on hobbies specifically. So you'd probably want to look at that too. But if you do put fishing down, which is fine. I mean, it's truthful. If you do go fishing, first of all, most people don't do it every day. So when you talk about how often and how well you do these things, which is the question right below, you're going to want to say, not like I did before. Now I get to go 3 times in the summer, and I have to limit it to an hour because I can't sit that long and it starts to hurt. But boy, do I enjoy getting that fresh air and nature. If your therapist or primary care doctor or anybody else, if you have anxiety, or if you're getting treated for anything like that, even however mildly, even if it's just like, a prescription through your primary care, ask them, do you recommend that? I always enjoyed fishing. Do you recommend me doing that to help, from a mental, meditative standpoint? And if he's, he might say yes. And then, if you're asked about it, you could, confirm that your provider, your medical provider, your mental health provider, or whichever one it was, recommended I do this. I can't do it as much as I would like to. It's very sporadic and rare and it doesn't last long, but boy, is it nice on a nice day. And it does help me go back in better spirits, just say it like it is, obviously if you're out there, woo, reeling them in and doing it for, 8 hours, then you're probably not disabled. But that's by and large not what we're talking about. We're talking about the genteel treat of fishing that occurs occasionally, that is not representative in reality of being not disabled. But if your description is too vague, and just as I like to fish, how often do you fish? Every week. You're going to want to be really clear that maybe you do go on Saturdays at 10 o'clock with your best bud or your spouse to get out of the house. But if it's only going to last a short time, or I had one guy who he would go fishing. It wasn't that often, but and he said, no, I didn't actually get to hold the pole, but I got to watch and I got to walk around and stretch. And it was that whole therapeutic being outside in a nice day with people you like, so that's the kind of answer if you fish, which I think is great. And I don't think SSA or judges would have a problem with it at all if you explain how limited that is, that you're not going out on a deep sea fishing thing for 8 hours or 4 hours, and, standing up at the, whatever they call it, the guardrail there, holding on that pole, or, and then reeling it in, and that you're not doing any of that stuff. It's more of the mental benefits that you're taking advantage of. unless you're not, of course. But that's the kind of thing you're going to want to give detail. Don't be quiet on that. Be sure to make it clear how it is not, the robust fishing of the past. Okay. And that it definitely wouldn't be symbolic of not having a sitting problem or an arm problem or any of the other physical problems you might have. All righty. So fishing. It was an interesting share today at our meeting. Anyway, I'm sure there'll be more. Talk to you guys later. Bye.